Imagine walking into a room and without saying a single word, every set of eyes turns to you. People can't quite figure you out. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you're feeling, and that unsettles them. It makes them curious. It makes them respect you. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you walk in and before you even sit down, you've already told the world who you are, what you're scared of, and where your weak spots are. That's what most people do every single day without realizing it. They expose themselves. And when you expose yourself, you give away your power. Here's the truth. Life is not just about what you achieve. It's about what you protect. Most people spend their lives chasing success, chasing recognition, chasing validation, but they forget the one rule that will make or break them. Don't let people see everything. Don't give the world the blueprint to who you are. The most dangerous thing you can do in this life is hand someone the weapons they can use against you. And you don't hand them over with force. You hand them over with your words, with your emotions, with your reactions, with your need to be seen. The world doesn't need to know everything about you. In fact, the less they know, the stronger you are. That's what we're going to talk about today. Why exposing yourself is the fastest way to lose. And why protecting yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your personal battles is the key to real strength. Because strength isn't just about how loud you can be or how much you can show. Strength is about how much you can hold back. When it comes to control, most people think about discipline in the obvious sense: diet, workouts, getting up early, showing up for work. But the control that truly separates the strong from the weak is much quieter, almost invisible. It's the control of what you choose to say and what you choose to hold back. It's the discipline of silence. Because every single piece of information you give away is a thread. And when someone collects enough threads, they can unravel the entire fabric of who you are. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone get comfortable, start talking too much, and then watch the mood in the room shift? At first, people are nodding, smiling, engaging, but then as the person keeps talking, keeps revealing, keeps giving details that nobody even asked for, you start to notice the eyes. People stop listening with curiosity and start listening with calculation. They're taking mental note. They're filing away every little insecurity, every complaint, every crack in the armor. And the person doing the talking doesn't even realize it. They think they're connecting. They think they're being open. They think they're building trust. But in reality, they're exposing themselves. Power is not in what you share. Power is in what you withhold. That's hard for people to accept because we live in a culture that glorifies exposure. Everyone is told to be authentic, be transparent, put yourself out there. Social media runs on oversharing. People go online and tell complete strangers what they ate, how they feel, who they're mad at, who broke their heart. They call it honesty. They call it vulnerability. But here's the truth. The more you put out there, the easier you are to predict and the easier you are to control. If someone knows what makes you happy, they can manipulate you with rewards. If they know what makes you angry, they can bait you into losing your composure. If they know your dreams, they can dangle opportunities to steer you off course. And if they know your fears, they can corner you, pressure you, even destroy you. Control of your information is control of your life. The less people know, the harder it is for them to touch you. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. It's knowing that you don't have to fill every space with your voice. You don't have to answer every question. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone who's curious. Curiosity is their problem, not your obligation. When you practice silence, you make people work harder to figure you out. They lean in. They wonder. And in that space of not knowing, you hold the advantage. Look at the people who command true presence. It's not the loudest one in the room. It's not the person spilling their life story within 5 minutes of meeting you. It's the one who speaks when they need to, who answers in measured words, who never gives more than necessary. That kind of control unsettles people. Why? Because human beings crave information. We want to categorize, label, and understand everyone we meet. When someone refuses to give us that satisfaction, they become harder to manage, harder to pin down, harder to read. That's where power lies. There's a story I remember about an interrogation room. A suspect sat there, stone-faced, answering in the shortest possible way. Yes, no, maybe. Hours went by, and the interrogators grew more and more frustrated. Why? Because silence puts the pressure on the other person. Talking relieves pressure. You release energy. You expose thoughts. You give them something to work with. Silence flips that. It forces the other person to carry the weight of uncertainty. And most people can't handle that weight. They start to talk just to fill the air. And in that talking, they expose themselves. Now let's bring it closer to your world. Every single day, you're in situations where people try to pull information from you. Colleagues ask questions not because they care, but because they want to know where you stand. Friends sometimes push boundaries, not out of concern, but because they're testing what you'll reveal. Even family members, yes, family, can sometimes use what you say in moments of vulnerability against you later. You have to learn the difference between connection and exposure. Connection is built through trust, respect, and shared experience. Exposure is spilling details without thinking of the consequences. Start asking yourself, why am I telling this person this? Do they need to know, or do I just want to feel heard? That small pause can change everything, because the truth is, most people speak to soothe themselves. They think talking will release the tension, that sharing will create relief, but relief is temporary. The damage of exposing yourself is permanent. Once words leave your mouth, you can't take them back. Once someone knows something about you, you can't erase it from their mind. The discipline of controlling your information is not about being cold or distant. It's about protecting the parts of yourself that should never be up for negotiation. You can still be kind, approachable, charismatic. You can still tell stories, inspire people, make them laugh. But you should always keep the line clear. People only get the version of you that you choose to reveal, not the raw blueprint of your soul. That's why silence is not emptiness, it's strength. It's armor. It's the art of giving just enough for people to engage with you, but never so much that they can use it against you. When you learn this, you stop being predictable. You stop being easy to play. You become someone others can't quite figure out, and that unsettles them in the best possible way. Control your information, because that control is freedom. The less people know, the more they assume. And assumptions, unlike facts, always work in your favor. Let the world wonder. Let them guess. Because in the end, the greatest power you will ever hold is not in what you reveal, but in what you refuse to expose. When people see you, they make judgments before you even open your mouth. It happens instantly, subconsciously, and without mercy. They look at how you stand, how you walk, how you dress, how you react. They watch your face when you're challenged. They pay attention to how you handle setbacks. All of this, whether you like it or not, creates an image. And here's the truth. That image is either your greatest armor or your biggest liability. You don't get to choose whether people judge you, but you do get to choose what they see when they do. The mistake most people make is believing that their inner world automatically speaks for itself. They assume that because they work hard, because they're good at what they do, because they have talent or skills, that people will notice and reward them for it. That's not how life works. People don't see your intentions. They don't see your work ethic when you're grinding late at night. They don't see your heart when you mean well. They see your presence, your energy, your composure. They see how you carry yourself under pressure. That is perception. And in this world, perception becomes reality. Now, you might say, but that's not fair. People should see me for who I really am. Life doesn't care about fair. The world doesn't operate on fairness. It operates on optics. And if you're smart, you stop fighting that truth and start mastering it. Because the people who understand perception know how to build an image that protects them, one that commands respect before they even speak. That image becomes their armor. Armor doesn't mean you're fake. Armor doesn't mean you're pretending to be someone else. Armor means you are intentionally choosing how much of yourself you show the world. Think of a knight walking into battle. He's still the same man under the steel. But he doesn't walk in with bare skin exposed. Why? Because bare skin gets cut. Bare skin bleeds. Armor is not deception. It's survival. In the same way, when you step into the world, your image should be crafted to shield you. You decide what people get to hit and what they never even get close to. Perception has the power to open doors for you that talent alone cannot. There are people less skilled than you, less intelligent than you, less deserving than you, who are ahead simply because they understand this game. They know how to project confidence. They know how to carry themselves in a way that commands attention. They know how to protect their reputation like it's life or death. And it is in a way because reputation is the currency people trade in long before they ever get to know your truth. Ask yourself this. How do people describe you when you're not in the room? Do they see you as someone composed, strategic, unshakable? Or do they describe you as reactive, emotional, careless with your words and actions? That gap between how you see yourself and how the world sees you is the difference between influence and irrelevance. The good news is perception can be shaped. It's not about changing who you are. It's about controlling the lens through which people see you. You do this by mastering your body language, by owning your tone of voice, by being intentional with your appearance, by refusing to let emotions spill all over the place when challenges hit. Every move you make sends a signal. Every word you speak either reinforces your armor or cracks it. When you understand that, you stop living by accident and start living with precision. Think about someone who loses their cool in a meeting. Maybe they're brilliant. Maybe they had the best idea in the room. But the moment they raised their voice, rolled their eyes, or made it personal, they lost credibility. Why? Because perception shifted. The room didn't see brilliance anymore. They saw weakness. They saw lack of control. They saw someone whose emotions could be manipulated. And once people see that, they don't forget. On the other hand, think about someone who walks in with quiet composure. They don't dominate with noise, but when they speak with weight. They look people in the eye. They don't fidget. They don't stumble. They don't reveal insecurity. Even if you disagree with their ideas, you respect the way they carry themselves. That's armor. That's the power of perception. Your image doesn't have to scream. In fact, the most powerful images whisper. They create an aura, a presence that says, I am in control. I am prepared. I am not easily shaken. That aura does more for you than 1,000 explanations of your character ever could, because people trust what they perceive before they trust what they're told. But here's where most people fail. They spend more energy fixing their inner world than they do shaping the outer one. They think, if I just become better, smarter, kinder, people will notice. No, people notice what's in front of them. They notice how you hold yourself when you're under attack. They notice if you gossip. They notice if you look desperate for validation. They notice if you expose too much. And once perception is set, it's hard to undo. That's why it's your job to guard it relentlessly. Never underestimate the cost of letting your image slip. One careless outburst, one unguarded post, one moment of exposure can undo years of work. The same way a tiny crack in armor can let an arrow through, one lapse in perception can change how people see you forever. That's why consistency is key. You don't put armor on only when you feel like it. You wear it every single time you step out into the world. So what should your armor look like? It should look like confidence, but not arrogance. Strength, but not hostility. Calmness, even when you're on fire inside. Professionalism, even when people around you act reckless. It should look like someone who is always in command of themselves, even when they cannot control the circumstances. That kind of image makes you untouchable. It makes people think twice before coming at you. It makes them assume you're stronger than maybe you even are. And that assumption buys you space, leverage, and respect. Perception is power because people don't treat you based on who you are. They treat you based on who they think you are. And when you accept that truth, you stop exposing yourself recklessly and start protecting yourself deliberately. Your image becomes your armor, and with that armor, you can walk into any room, any battle, any challenge, knowing that before a single word leaves your mouth, you've already set the tone. There's a saying that goes, "If I can make you angry, I own you." That may sound harsh, but it's the truth. The moment someone else can pull an emotional reaction out of you, you've handed them the steering wheel of your life. They know where the buttons are, and once they know, they'll push them. Not always out of malice, sometimes out of habit, sometimes out of curiosity, but it doesn't matter. What matters is this: if others can control your emotions, they can control your decisions. And if they can control your decisions, they control you. Every person walking around today has emotional triggers. Some people lose it when they feel disrespected. Some can't handle being ignored. Some collapse when criticized. Some fall apart when rejected. And those triggers show up everywhere. At work, in relationships, with family, even in casual interactions with strangers. The problem isn't that the triggers exist. The problem is that people don't guard them. They let them sit out in the open for anyone to discover. They react without thinking. And in that reaction, they give away all their power. Imagine sitting across from someone who insults you. Maybe they raise their voice. Maybe they roll their eyes. Maybe they make a sarcastic comment. If you explode, if you snap back, if you show on your face that you're rattled, you've given them exactly what they wanted. They've proven they can get inside your head. But if you stay composed, if you refuse to give them the satisfaction of a reaction, the power flips. Now it's them who's unsettled, because they realize they can't touch you. Staying unshakable doesn't mean you don't feel emotions. It doesn't mean you're a robot or that you suppress everything inside. It means you choose when and how to express those emotions. You decide, not them. You decide whether someone earns the right to see your anger. You decide whether someone deserves to know they've hurt you. You decide whether a situation requires your fire or your calm. That is strength. That is control. Think about the strongest people you've ever met. Were they the ones who yelled the loudest? No. Were they the ones who snapped at every little thing? No. The strongest people are the ones who can stand in the middle of chaos, storms swirling around them, and not flinch. They're the ones who don't let the outside world dictate their inner world. They feel deeply, but they don't let others play with those feelings like piano keys. The truth is, most people make it way too easy for others to get to them. They wear their emotions like neon signs. You can see when they're irritated. You can hear it in their tone when they're offended. You can watch their posture collapse when they're discouraged. That visibility makes them predictable. And predictable people are easy to manipulate. If I know what makes you mad, I can bait you into looking unprofessional. If I know what makes you insecure, I can plant seeds of doubt to hold you back. If I know what makes you excited, I can dangle empty promises to string you along. That's why guarding your emotional triggers isn't just about staying calm. It's about survival in a world where people exploit what they know. So how do you guard your triggers? First, you have to know them. Self-awareness is everything. Too many people walk around blind to their own patterns. They tell themselves, "I'm just passionate," or "I just don't like being disrespected." But what they don't see is that their reactions are predictable. If you know you get defensive when someone questions your competence, prepare for it. If you know you get jealous when someone else shines, confront that within yourself. Don't wait until the trigger is pushed. Expect it, anticipate it, and rehearse how you'll respond. Second, you have to practice neutrality. Neutrality doesn't mean you don't care. It means you refuse to give people free access to your emotions. Someone criticizes you. Say thank you, even if it stings. Someone tries to provoke you. Smile, even if you're boiling inside. Someone ignores you. Stay focused, don't beg for attention. This doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're untouchable. It means people will start to realize they can't get under your skin, and that realization makes them respect you, even fear you. Third, you have to learn to pause. The most dangerous reactions happen in the first few seconds when emotions spike. That's when people say things they regret, send texts they can't take back, or make decisions that cost them. Build the discipline of waiting. Take a breath. Count to 3. Even excuse yourself if you need to. Buy yourself time before you act. Because in that pause, power returns to you. The one who can wait is always stronger than the one who explodes. Guarding your emotional triggers is also about building a kind of emotional poker face. In poker, the game isn't just about the cards, it's about reading people. If your face shows excitement when you get a good hand, you'll get played. If your face shows fear when you have a bad hand, you'll get played. The best players keep their face steady, no matter what. That's exactly how life works. People are always watching your tells, and the more you reveal, the more they explode. But let's be clear, this isn't about being fake or suppressing your humanity. It's about choosing wisely where and with whom you share yourself. Your emotions are valuable. Your vulnerabilities are sacred. Not everyone has earned the right to see them. Reserve them for the people who have proven they're safe, who won't use them against you. Until then, your default mode should be composure. And here's the paradox: the less reactive you are, the more influence you have. When you're the calmest person in the room, people look to you for direction. When others are spiraling and you remain grounded, you become the anchor. When people realize they can't rattle you, they stop trying and start respecting. That respect builds trust, and that trust gives you leverage in every arena: business, leadership, relationships, even conflict. So guard your triggers like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Your reputation depends on it. Your opportunities depend on it. Your freedom depends on it. Every time you choose not to hand someone your emotions on a silver platter, you're choosing to stay in control of your own life. And that's the essence of power: not dominating others, but refusing to let others dominate you. Most people live their lives like they're playing checkers. Quick move, short-term wins, jumping over whatever's in front of them. They want instant gratification, immediate recognition, fast success. But the ones who truly dominate life, the ones who end up not just winning, but staying on top, play chess. They think 5, 10, 20 moves ahead. They don't just react to what's happening in the moment. They anticipate what's coming next. That's the mindset of a strategist. And if you want real power, real freedom, you have to stop thinking like a sprinter and start thinking like a marathoner. You have to play the long game. The long game requires patience, something that's in short supply today. We live in a culture of now. People want results yesterday. They want likes the second they post. They want promotions after a few months. They want respect before they've earned it. But here's the reality: anything built fast usually crumbles just as fast. Real power, real credibility, real mastery is built over time. And the people who succeed are the ones willing to delay gratification, to sacrifice the short-term thrill for the long-term payoff. Think about it. When you reveal too much too soon, when you let people see your every plan, your every goal, your every step, you hand them the ability to interfere, to sabotage, to compete with you. Strategists don't do that. They move in silence. They show results, not intentions. They let the work speak long after the noise has died down. And when they finally make their move, it looks effortless. That's because while everyone else was reacting to what's right in front of them, the strategist was patiently setting the board. Playing the long game also means knowing when not to act. Most people equate action with progress. They think if they're not constantly doing something visible, they're falling behind. But sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. Sometimes silence, waiting, observing, and gathering information is the smartest play. Because when you wait, you learn, you see patterns, you understand motives, you notice what others miss because they're too busy rushing. And with that understanding, you strike only when the odds are stacked in your favor. Look at history, at leaders, at entrepreneurs, at athletes. The great ones didn't reveal their entire hand at once. They built slowly, layer by layer, always thinking about the next stage. They knew that one win wasn't enough. It's about sustaining victories over time. Anybody can get lucky once. Anybody can pull off a single success. But to repeat it, to hold it, to grow it, that's strategy. That's long-term thinking. This mindset also protects you from manipulation. If you're always thinking short-term, you're easy to bait. Someone offers you a quick deal, you jump. Someone flatters you with attention, you cave. Someone provokes you, you react. But if you're thinking long-term, you ask, does this serve me 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Or is this just a distraction? Suddenly, half the traps people set for you stop working because you're not living for the moment, you're living for the mission. The long game is also about reputation. Anyone can cut corners, cheat or take shortcuts to get ahead quickly. But every shortcut comes with a bill, and it always arrives. The person who lies their way to the top eventually gets exposed. The one who steps on everyone to climb eventually finds themselves alone. The one who builds without integrity eventually watches it collapse. A strategist understands this. They protect their name, their word, their credibility, because they know these are assets that compound over time. A good reputation can open doors decades into the future. A bad one can slam them shut permanently. Now, here's the part people struggle with. Patience is painful. It's hard to watch others get recognition while you're still grinding. It's hard to hold your tongue when you know you're right. It's hard to stay disciplined when quick wins are dangling in front of you. But that's the difference between amateurs and professionals, between impulsive thinkers and strategists. Amateurs want the applause today. Strategists want the throne tomorrow. And when you have the throne, nobody remembers the applause. Playing the long game also forces you to think in terms of legacy, not just success. Success is what you achieve. Legacy is what you leave behind. It's the ripple effect of your actions. When you're playing short term, you ask, what do I get right now? When you're playing long term, you ask, what foundation am I building? What story am I writing? What impact will this decision have 5, 10, 20 years from now? That question alone will save you from mistakes that ruin people who only think about the next 5 minutes. Here's the truth. People will try to rush you. They'll tell you you're moving too slow. They'll pressure you to reveal your plans, to explain yourself, to prove yourself. Don't take the bait. A strategist knows that timing is everything. If you reveal too soon, you lose your advantage. If you move too early, you weaken your position. Patience is not passive, it's precision. It's waiting until the conditions are right, until you are ready, until you can strike in a way that leaves no doubt. When you play the long game, you stop being desperate. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone in the moment. You don't need to clap back at every critic, respond to every insult, or chase every opportunity. You know who you are. You know where you're going, and you know that time is on your side. That calmness, that patience, that quiet confidence, it unsettles people because they realize you can't be rushed, you can't be baited, and you can't be broken by the ups and downs of the moment. So ask yourself, are you moving like a checker piece, hopping frantically, celebrating little wins that don't matter in the long run? Or are you moving like a chess player, studying the board, conserving your energy, setting yourself up for the ultimate checkmate? The choice determines whether your life is a series of short-lived victories or a legacy of unstoppable success. The long game is not glamorous. It's not flashy. It's slow, deliberate, often invisible. But when the results finally show, they speak louder than any noise you could have made along the way. Play the long game. Think like a strategist, and you'll stop being just another player in the game. You'll become the one who sets the rules. Mystery is one of the most underrated forms of strength. People underestimate it because we live in a world that worships exposure. Everyone is encouraged to broadcast their lives, to announce their every move, to share their private struggles for attention, and to spill their thoughts on demand. But when everything about you is visible, when every detail of your life is out there for the world to dissect, you lose the very thing that makes you powerful: unpredictability. Strength comes from mystery. The less people know about you, the harder it is for them to touch you, control you, or weaken you. Think about the people who walk into a room and immediately command attention. They're not always the loudest. They're not always the ones telling stories. And they're not the ones desperate to be seen. They're the ones who keep you guessing. You watch them, you wonder what they're thinking. You want to know more? That curiosity creates an aura. That aura is influence. And that influence doesn't come from what they reveal. It comes from what they don't. Mystery builds respect. Predictability breeds vulnerability. If I can read you like a book, I can flip to the chapter I want. I can skip ahead. I can rewrite the ending. But if I can't quite figure you out, I'm forced to tread carefully. I second guess myself. I assume you know more than you do. And in that space of uncertainty, you hold the edge. The truth is, most people hand over their edge willingly. They expose their goals, their insecurities, their desires, even their pain, hoping it will make people like them or support them. They don't realize that the same information they use to connect can be used to exploit them. Tell the wrong person your fears, and one day those fears will be weaponized against you. Share too much about your ambitions, and someone with fewer ethics and more resources might beat you to them. Confess every wound, and you'll always be seen as fragile, even when you've healed. That's the cost of giving away your mystery. You shrink yourself in the eyes of others without even knowing it. Now, some people will tell you, but being open is how you build relationships. Vulnerability is strength. That's only partly true. Vulnerability with the right people, the rare, proven, trustworthy few, is powerful. Vulnerability with the world is exposure. The difference lies in discernment. Not everyone deserves access to the raw parts of you. Not everyone has earned the right to know your struggles, your fears, your past. When you hand that out freely, you're not connecting, you're surrendering your advantage. Protecting your edge means understanding that mystery is not about hiding. It's about revealing intentionally. You don't have to be silent, but you must be selective. Share what strengthens your position, not what weakens it. If you're a leader, you might show confidence in the face of adversity, but you don't reveal your panic. If you're in competition, you might share progress, but you don't lay out your full strategy. If you're in a relationship, you might show care and openness, but you don't hand over every single scar for someone to poke. Mystery doesn't mean being cold, it means being wise. Think of your life like a card game. The cards in your hand represent your strengths, your weaknesses, your dreams, your fears. Once you lay them all on the table, the game is over. You've given away every possible move. But when you keep some cards close, you leave others guessing. They don't know your full potential. They don't know what else you might be holding. That unknown makes them cautious, and that caution is where your power lives. Look at history's most influential figures. Leaders, warriors, thinkers. Their strength was magnified by the mystery around them. They didn't reveal their every thought or action. They let others wonder, speculate, and assume. And those assumptions often exaggerated their power. Because here's the secret. People will always fill in the blanks. When you don't give them the whole story, they invent one. And 9 times out of 10, what they imagine is more powerful than the reality. That's why mystery amplifies strength. It allows others to project onto you, to overestimate you, to give you more credit than you may even deserve. But the opposite is also true. The more predictable you are, the less respect you earn. If people always know what you're going to say, how you're going to react, what you're going to do next, they stop valuing you. You become easy to dismiss, easy to manage, easy to overlook. Predictability is comfort for other people, but it's weakness for you. Mystery, on the other hand, keeps people on edge. It forces them to pay attention. It reminds them that they don't fully know you. And not knowing means they can never completely control you. Protecting your edge also means resisting the temptation to explain yourself. Most people give away power when they rush to justify their choices, to defend their opinions, to convince others to approve of them. That urge to explain is a form of exposure. When you're comfortable letting your actions speak, when you're content with letting people wonder, you shift the balance. Silence in the face of doubt is far more powerful than 1,000 words of explanation. Because mystery makes people fill in the silence with their own assumptions, and usually they assume strength. Of course, protecting your mystery requires discipline. It's not easy in a world where everyone is pressured to share, post, and announce. It takes restraint to keep your private battles private, your plans close, your emotions measured. But discipline always separates the strong from the weak. And when you master this one skill, holding back what doesn't serve you, you stop giving away the weapons that could be used against you. In the end, mystery is not about being distant or secretive for the sake of it. It's about creating a boundary between who you are and what the world gets to see. It's about making sure that the most important parts of you, your vision, your resilience, your inner fire, are shielded from those who would try to exploit them. Because once you lose your mystery, you lose your edge. And once you lose your edge, you lose your power. So let them wonder, let them guess, let them fill in the blanks. Because strength doesn't always roar in the spotlight. Sometimes strength sits quietly in the shadows, smiling, knowing that the most powerful weapon you have is the one you never let them see. You've heard it all now. Why silence protects your power. Why perception is your armor. Why guarding your triggers keeps you unshakable. Why strategy demands patience. And why mystery is the edge that sets you apart. Each of these isn't just an idea, it's a way of living. And it all comes back to one truth. The less you expose yourself, the stronger you become. The world is always watching, always listening, always testing. People will try to provoke you, push you, pull secrets out of you, tempt you to reveal too much, too soon. Don't give them what they want, because the moment you hand over your words, your reactions, your insecurities, you give away the weapons they need to control you. Power isn't about how loud you can be. It's about how much you can hold back. It's about choosing deliberately what to reveal and what to protect. Strength is not built on noise. It's built on control. Control of your voice, control of your image, control of your emotions, control of your timing, control of your mystery. And when you live with that control, you stop being another player in someone else's game. You become the one setting the rules. So walk out into the world with this in your mind. Not everything about you deserves to be seen. Not everyone deserves to know your story. Not every emotion deserves a reaction. Protect yourself. Guard your edge and let them wonder. Because the greatest power you will ever hold is the power of never exposing yourself.